Alright, so in this video we're going to be talking about the Simon buff, which one you're going to have to choose. But at the same time, we're also going to be talking about the buffs that JP basically got, 10 units got buffs, 5 male, 5 female, and the buffs have been released. I will already say though, don't get your hopes up, it's not that great. They are very underwhelming buffs, but at least they are buffs, I guess. So we'll go through all of them. But most importantly, the first thing I want to say is talking about the Simon buff, because we have a choice. We have 3 choices, and only one of them will be applied to the Simon buff. So in my last video, I didn't say which one to choose because I wasn't sure yet. I wanted more information. I wanted everyone's opinion, and I didn't really quite look into it myself. So that is what we're going to be doing in this video. I will basically just be telling you which one we should most certainly pick, and then we will talk about the buffs for the other units. So as I said, Simon is getting a buff. In case you don't know that Simon is getting a buff, the official Discord server of Grand Summoners has done a message. I actually don't know how to say it. Anyway, there's a message in the official Discord server of Grand Summoners, and they said that there is going to be a buff for Simon, and we get to choose what the buff is. So we have 3 options. So we have option A, or proposal 1, which is the passive damage up per stack from 50 to 75, but it gets decreased from 1000% to 600%. So 400% less damage, but you do stack it faster. Then we have proposal 2, which is true arts damage up per stack. So usually it was 200% per stack, now it's 300% per stack. And the maximum was 1000% at max stacks, now it's 1500 at max stacks. So, and then his passive gets decreased from 1000 to 500. So that's 500% less damage from his passive. Then we have proposal 3, which is his super arts multiplier, going from 300,000 to 400,000, and a maximum of 1.2 million. Instead of 1.2 million, it's going to be 1.6 million. And then his passive stacks is going to get decreased from 1000% to 300%. So as you can, in case you didn't notice, every buff, so-called buff, also has a nerf. So it's more like a balance rather than a buff. And unfortunately, these nerfs are kind of big. They are bigger than the buff themselves, and that is really unfortunate. We didn't get to choose, so unfortunately we have to choose one of these 3 options. So like I said, last video I didn't talk about that, so this video I will. Everyone has been voting for proposal 3, which is the super art damage up. When I read these buffs, immediately I thought that's not a good one, because this super arts buff sounds good on paper. It sounds amazing. 1.6 million damage, and from 300,000 to 400,000. It sounds really good, but most of the time we're not going to need that at all. And these are just my words. Like right now I'm saying my words. What did catch my eye is proposal 1 and proposal 2. Even though you're losing 400% damage up, those stacks are already so difficult to get. So getting the stacks quicker is better, if that makes sense. Like all of these buffs are meh, but proposal 2, which is the true arts buff, has the biggest buff, you could say. We're getting the most damage from the true arts. That 1500% damage up while still retaining the 500% instead of 300% from his passive is good. So I've been talking to a lot of people. I've been talking to a lot of people from the GS community, both in my server and, well, not in other server, but people from other servers, if that makes sense. It doesn't matter. I've just been talking to a lot of people. And there is one thing that I just want to make very clear. A lot of people are saying vote for B. The good players, the not so good players, or like the newer players, and pretty much everyone is saying it. And the people who are voting for proposal 3, which is the super arts one, are just looking at the numbers. And honestly, I get it. I do get it. You see big numbers, you see big damage, 100% understandable. So I do get your point, but unfortunately that is not the way to go right now, because Simon has to change. everyone has been saying this unit is trash, we want him better. So now we're getting a tiny buff, but it's still a buff. So, you know, it is what it is, basically. So anyway, there is a very awesome person in my Discord server, which is Indra, and she actually mentioned, or basically there's an explanation as to why option A, B, and C are good or bad. So we have option A. It's 400% damage less, which is what I said. Like, it goes from 1000 to 600, but you get the stacks quicker, which is good, but not good in every single case, if that makes sense. So it is, the thing is, getting the stacks quicker is what he needs, because you are not gonna get that 1000% anyways, mostly because of Simon is the one having to kill the mobs or kill the enemies. That doesn't always happen. It's gonna be whoever else is in your team, especially, like, for example, Shadow. If Shadow is in your team, he will probably kill most of the enemies and not Simon. So Simon is not getting his buffs. So if he gets his buffs or gets his stacks quicker, it's better, even if it gets decreased. Because look, all of the buffs are getting decreased. Like, his passives are getting decreased no matter which buff we take. So we might as well take the best one. And anyway, so as I was saying, A is 400% less damage from his buff, from his passive, sorry, but you do get it quicker. So it's good, but it's not the best. Now, option B is by far the best option, and I 100% agree with this. I think everyone should be voting for B. Sorry. This video is mostly to talk about vote for B. You have, as recording of this video, you have about 35 hours left, I think. So make sure you vote for B, guys, because you do not want that super arts to get increased. Because, well, let me finish speaking actually. Anyway, so option B is the best option because he gets a 50% buff to his max damage with his arts buff with the same amount of stacks, which is true. The trade-off being that his passive gets cut in half, but again, every single buff gets that. So this is by far the best option. And also, the fact it goes from 1000 to 1500 from his max stacks, even though, like, if you think about it, 1500% is quite an insane amount of a multiplier to an ultimate that already is high. The thing is, what makes B better than C is, or 2 better than 3, whatever, is the passive buff. That super arts is gonna hit hard anyway, and option B is gonna make it hit harder, but while still retaining the 500% instead of 200%. So even with your arts and true arts, you're still dealing a lot of damage rather than just your super arts. And although the passive is also included in the super arts. So if you just look at it in the entire picture, B is getting the most buffs while trying to get the least nerfs. That is what we're looking at. Because if we look at C, that's a 700% damage loss. That is a lot. That's a lot less damage. And that doesn't make up for it for just the super arts to get buffed, which is already gonna hit hard anyways. So this is basically what everyone is trying to say. Option 3 looks good on paper, but it really isn't. And that is just what you guys should be looking at. Like, honestly, okay, first of all, option A is better than option C. Like, in case you didn't realize, it 100% is. We better have 600% damage up and get the stacks up quicker than the super arts buff. So if you don't want to choose for B, at least choose for A. But don't pick C. If you voted for C, I highly recommend, and not just me, every single GS content creator, or even not content creator, just every single GS player. Well, not every single, because a lot of people voted for C, but most GS players are voting for B. So I highly recommend you do as well. So that is basically the most important thing that I wanted to say in this video. Make sure you vote for B, guys. I try to explain it as simple, and like, I know I've been getting comments saying that I talk in a very unclear way, and I do try my best to talk as clear as possible, and I know that I sometimes trip over my words and etc, but that is just how I am. I just yeah, I don't know what to say about it. That's just how I speak. So I do apologize if I sometimes come out unclear or it's just very confusing. But simply put, option B is the best option. Option C is just too big of a loss for something only buffing super arts, and option A is just okay. It's just okay. That's the best I can say. So vote for option B, and if you really don't if you really don't want to vote for option B, vote for option A. Just don't vote for option C, because it's buffing something that's already gonna do enough damage. Okay, that's just extremely important to remember. Now, we spoke about Simon. Make sure to vote for B. If you already voted for C, change it into B or something else. Now that we've spoken about that, let's get onto the buffs. I'm gonna try to make this super like quick because I'm already long in the video. Plus, there's not much to talk about. I'm just gonna say that buffs. So, yeah, it's kind of disappointing. So we have our 9.5 anniversary unit buffs. If you can remember, there's 5 units of each gender, so there's 5 male units, 5 female units who got buffed in Ground Summoners. They are official GS units, and they got buffed. So first one, we have Celia, Ascended Celia. She her buff now got, oh my god, her skill now got buffed from 13 seconds to 12 seconds. Let me just put my phone down. Well done. Now we have her arts. Her arts is, instead of 100 arts for the first time used, it gives 150 arts to the entire team. That's pretty good. I can't lie, that's pretty good. And then from her true arts, the water resistance down is instead of 80% to 100%. That's whatever. Now we have Kurisame. Look, Kurisame is such a goat. He's such a cool taunt tank, but a lot of taunt tanks are just better. So obviously, a lot of people voted for him. So he's gonna get buffed, thankfully. However, his buff, his arts now burns for 12 seconds instead of 10. Let me just put my phone down again. Anyway, then his super arts, instead of getting a 50,000 barrier, he now gets a 55,000 barrier. And no end. And then his passive 1, instead of getting 20% damages, he gets 25. 20 to 25 is a very big change. Do not underestimate 5% when it comes to damage resist. So I'll take that. And he, instead of getting 50 arts, he gets 100 arts with his second passive. Pretty okay buff. Could have been better, but yeah. Anyway, then we have Rosetta, the Ascended Rosetta. She now gets... Okay, be any louder. Now she, instead of 15 seconds, for 18 seconds, she decreases the magic resistance by 170% instead of 140. Whatever. Her true arts now deals 60,000 damage instead of 55,000 damage. And she now increases all water allies arts by 50 instead of 40. Now that's nice. That's nice. And then her super arts, instead of 100% magic damage up, it's 120, and with a maximum of 260 instead of 300. Pretty good. Pretty good. Then we have Demon as Berwick. I'm gonna skip him. No, I'm joking. Then he does, with his arts, he does 5,000% more damage. That's I mean, like from 20,000 to 25,000. That's it. And he increases all allies stats by 35 instead of 30. For never mind. Okay, that's a pretty good one. So for his super arts, instead of during his own super arts, now it's for 45 seconds, ignores 100% of enemy's defense, and for 45 seconds instead of 40, increases own damage by 150%. Whatever. And then his passive, instead of 200% art damage up, is 300% art damage up. It's not gonna change anything. Now, Wills and Leon, someone who absolutely did not need a buff. She now, instead of, oh my god, instead of 4 arts a second, she gets 5 arts a second with her true arts. That is stupid, by the way. That is very stupid. She is already broken as is. And her super arts actually got buffed. By the way, I didn't read the buffs yet. I just heard that it was disappointing. Her super arts got buffed. It was already broken. So instead of 100% damage resistance down, is 150. That is disgusting. Okay, fair enough. Anyway, now her passive, instead of 3 arts a second, it's 4 arts a second. Yeah, that's honest. Those are insane buffs for someone who already is so broken. Why are not someone like these bad units getting these broken buffs? It's crazy. Now, my favorite unit in the game is lit Human Pinnacle. His true arts got changed from 10 arts a second for 8 seconds to 9 seconds. Let me just put my phone down again. They could not bother to make it 10 seconds? Come on. And then his super arts multiplier got changed from 150,000 to 160,000. That's not gonna make a single difference. Oh my god. Anyway, his passive 1, instead of 7 arts a second, he gets 8 arts a second passively. That's whatever. And then his second, third, and fourth passive, instead of 180% damage up to whatever race, it's 200% damage up. That's so garbage. And then my second favorite unit, Sublime Supernova Lisa. I can already see it as disappointing. For 30 seconds, oh, it's her arts. I'm not even going to continue reading. It's dog shit anyways. And then her super arts, for 20 seconds instead of 15, increases all allies damage by 250 instead of... magic damage, sorry. 250. Okay, you know what? I'll accept that. 15 seconds to 20 seconds, 200% to 250%. It's a acceptable buff for Lisa. I'll take it. It could have been better, but I'll take it. Then we have War Hero Fen. Why? Whoa. Why is his 2 arts getting buffed from 60,000 to 62? What is that going to do? Oh my god. These buffs are so weird. Okay, anyway. Super arts. Increases his own attack to 120% instead of 100. Cool. And then when own self is leader, instead of 45 seconds, it's 50 seconds. Not everybody gets damage resistance. Cool. Yeah, cool. Echika. Someone who absolutely did not need a buff. Absolutely did not need a buff. But she still got a buff anyways. I don't know why, but she did. Anyway, so now her skill, instead of healing the lowest ally by 4,000, it is by 4,500. That is a acceptable buff because she already is broken. Her arts, instead of giving a 8,000 barrier, it's a 9,000 barrier. That is, again, unnecessary, but okay, sure. And with her true arts, instead of doing 140, it's such a weird number. It's now 154%. Like, why such a weird number? Anyway, and then she increased all light damage by 220 instead of 200, which is, again, unnecessary but pretty good. And then we have the second unit who absolutely did not need it to get buffed, but it's getting buffed anyways, which is Ultimate Paladin Roy. He is broken as is, and you can tell by reading his buffs because his buffs are so garbage and he doesn't need it. Anyway, his arts, his multiplier for his arts got increased from 23,000 to 25,000. Gus, what else are you gonna buff? And his super arts, instead of doing 150 physical resistance down, it is 160 physical. Oh no, sorry, not physical resistance. I mean physical resistance up for your allies, and also increase own power resistance by 100%. Like, people are gonna be upset about this, but what do you expect? You just expect the best unit ever in this game to get buffed. No, that's not gonna happen. So anyways, those were all the buffs. That was pretty much everything about Simon and everything about all the units getting buffed. I have nothing to say about these buffs because they are pretty okay, I would say. A lot of them are very underwhelming and a lot of them are very overwhelming because, again, I personally believe that Paladin Roy and Echika never should have been buffed. Just because they're broken doesn't mean that they need to get buffed even more. So that's that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much everything I wanted to say about in this video. I was intentionally going to be a video just about Simon to make sure to vote for B, but it ended up being about all the buffs too because, yeah, they got released. Anyway, seriously guys, that's going to be everything for this video. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know what you think about the buffs. Let me know what you think about the Simon buffs. And I hope you guys have an amazing day. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.